stretch. You can put it on the board. Yes.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you see their best-in-class Wagyu New York filet mignons, and, of course, the king of all the ribeye. Even the gourmet Angus and Wagyu beef burgers will blow you away. Call 702-799-9935 for more information. 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. Or check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com and find out what's for dinner. Yes. And a big welcome into everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Of course, Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas, right around the corner from the Fremont Street Experience in downtown Las Vegas. Everybody else watching on Hotel TV and our Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, and Wild Cable affiliates. Also Facebook. Thanks for joining us here with the great Mike Jaminski, the Hall of Famer Mike Jaminski. What's going on, big boss?
Yeah, it's just, it was a busman's holiday for me yesterday, Sal, and I had a free week, which is rare. And so I went up to Durham to see the Duke Virginia game, and it was fun. It was I believe me, I love being back in Cameron, and it was just so many memories. And matter of fact, two of the forwards that I played with, Kenny Denard and Gene Banks, were at the game, so it was an incredible visit with them, and just the atmosphere. Not a great result for the home team, but it's a special place for me.
Yeah, for some people, I mean, look, you, first of all, playing on that floor is one thing. Me, just as a spectator, going to school at Duke and going to see the games and sitting with the crazies is one thing. I remember one game, I have to bring this up, folks. This is a game I went to against, it was Duke, Carolina. I think it was 2000. I think it was the year 2000. And Duke Vitale, of course, God love him. We'll call him Duke Vitale. He was at the game, calling the game, of course. And then it was, I want to say it was sometime on a TV timeout or maybe even it was at halftime, but he was actually crowd surfing through the crazies. That was incredible.
You were there for that?
Yes, I was there for that.
Wow, because I remember seeing they used to do that with some of the people coming in, but what I think happened there was they probably just finished taping their open on the floor, and he just went over and just dove on his back, and they were passing him up and down the stands. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's just something you wouldn't expect to see, but then again, you almost would expect to see because. Mm-hmm. Dick Vitale's that kind of guy. He's like everyone's favorite guy, even if you can't stand him. When you see him, when you meet him, he's your favorite guy. He's just one of those guys. You know what I mean?
Oh, no question about it. And, what he's done for cancer research and, what he's done for the sport of college basketball is immeasurable. And right. He's a wonderful guy to be around. I love sitting down when our paths cross and chatting with him, but very, very passionate about the V Foundation, and I hope.
Yes, I was going to go there with that. Absolutely. Yeah. He's done so much great promotional for the Jimmy V Foundation, and he's just one of those guys that, you say you live in the time of Achilles, right? Remember the movie, right? So you've lived in the time of Duke Vitale. You've lived in the time of John Madden. You lived in the time of Michael Jordan. You lived in the time of Mike Jaminski.
Well, and the thing is too, I mean, what more cosmic timing could it be that he starts working when ESPN comes on the air? I mean, nobody knew who Dick Vitale or ESPN was in 1978, and all of a sudden 79 they start growing, he starts growing, and it was a perfect match.
Yeah, one of a really good friend of the Sports Circus is Alan Massengale. Alan was one of the early anchors on ESPN. Mm-hmm. And Alan, boy, What an interesting guy.
What that has, and everybody hears that da 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 da, that's become a ringtone. That's become ingrained in our culture, really, as has that network.
Right. Well, you notice I'm trying to take you away from that 69-68 debacle that happened over in Cameron. And I'm talking about everything else except that. But, some of those times, look, as a player, I know that sometimes a team needs a tough loss to progress through tournament time. What are your thoughts about this one?
Well, here's the deal, Sal. Two things. One, this is already the second home game that Duke has lost, and that's not a good sign, which goes to show you they're not a dominant team, and I don't believe there is a dominant team in the ACC, even with Duke having been ranked the whole season. That being said, the best time to catch Duke is the game before the Carolina game or the game after the Carolina game. And this was going to be a tough game because of the emotional win in Chapel Hill. And then 48 hours later, Virginia's down this year, but they're good. And they make you play the way they made Duke play last night. It was a physical game. The referees let it play on. And Virginia's defense was tough. And plus, they dominated Duke inside. They had 52 points in the paint.
So when a team has a loose officiating crew in one game, and let's say the next game they have a very ticky-tack officiating crew, how do you get consistency and how do you prepare your team? Do you prepare them from crew to crew? How does that work?
Well, the crews change, and but what I always did, and this was even in the pros. Now I got to know the pro referees, a little bit. I saw them more obviously than the college referees, but I used to use the first 5 minutes of the game to figure out how the game was being called. And the only thing that I wanted from referees is consistency. Call it both ends and call it for 40 minutes or 48 minutes the same way. I'll adjust to you. And that's how I approached it. And if I were a coach, that's how I'd have our team approach it as well.
Yeah. And, Mike, that is the same idea that transfers from sport to sport to sport. We're going to stick with basketball, but I can tell you just on the baseball side, when I had certain umpire behind home plate, and I knew that particular crew was going to be there, I knew that late in the game, they were going to squeeze the pitchers, right? They were going to tighten that strike zone up. And so that's when the managers have to say, okay, I know this guy is missing up in the strike zone. And so we're going to go ahead and bring in somebody that could keep the ball down to hit those ground balls. But in basketball, you don't have that when someone's getting tired, they're missing up in baseball, throwing the ball, right? So, I mean, maybe they're dragging their feet. Maybe they're missing passes. Maybe they're not moving well without the ball. And maybe the umpire or maybe the officials see that somebody's not moving well without the ball. And maybe, let me ask you this, is it possible that when an official sees somebody not moving with the ball and they're grabbing and clutching, they're going to call a lot more fouls because they look tired out there?
Well, a couple of things. There are some referees who are intimidated by the home court, and there are some guys who aren't. You'd love to see those guys on the road. And it's easier to referee the perimeter than it is in the post, because there's a lot of close contact. And, when you're out front with the ball, it's wide open and it's easy to see. So those are easier players to officiate than what's going on in the paint area. And, that being said, again, it's, for me to, it was up to me to adjust to them. And and there were in the pros, like I said, I kept a book on the referees and I knew how they would call games. It was just a little tougher. Maybe I wasn't aware of that when I was in college.
Yeah, I would imagine, when you're younger, trying to keep tabs on this ref or this ref or this ref. We know what they call and what they don't call. We know they're going to let them play. But then again, maybe it's a home crowd and maybe there's a little bit more influence from the home crowd. So you might see a variance in calls in the last 30 seconds. Give me your opinion on that.
Yeah, I have been around all the coaches in the ACC for a long time, and I've heard them talk to me about certain referees, and they'll look at the crew and they'll check out what their record is with that crew or with the lead referee, with the lead official. But I don't know that they've ever talked to their team about that, going over the scouting report. And, they've got enough to worry about with the scouting report and the other team instead of a scouting report on the referees as well.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And Mike, nobody really talks about that. I've never heard anybody really talk about that on pick your favorite network, pick your favorite show. It doesn't matter. Who talks about the officiating crew and their tendencies and how teams adjust to it? I think that's a very interesting thing that at some point we could probably do an entire show on it, just not today. All right, folks, we're going to be back here with the great Mike Jaminski, the Hall of Famer, in just a few minutes here on The Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
AMP, the multi-format network, is here to help create, produce, distribute, and sell your content. For more information, send a message to info@aamp.tv. That's info@aamp.tv.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. 800-908-7016. That's 800-908-7016.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by Curry Leaf, flavors of India, fine Indian cuisine. Man, I love this place. I'm excited to go again tonight, Mike. All right, so folks, if you're looking for truly the best bang for buck, good value, high quality Indian foods, and we're talking not necessarily the things that you see at your Indian food buffet. We're talking tandoori salmon and the butter chicken, of course, but the curry sole, the coconut curry sole, and all your favorites like the tandoori chicken and whatnot, tikka masala. It is what it is, folks. I talk about it because I absolutely love it. Check them out at curryleafvegas.com. You can check out the menu, curryleafvegas.com. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're going to have the owner of Curry Leaf on the Sports Circus. Yes, but anyway, curryleafvegas.com for the menu. See what's for dinner. Also, make your reservation at 702-527-7977, 702-527-7977. Now, Curry Leaf is located off the intersection of Fort Apache Road and Tropicana in the southwest side of Las Vegas, only 10 minutes from the Strip. Folks, get away from the Strip. Go get some good food, some good bang for buck. I got to tell you, you will not be disappointed. If so, email me at info@thesportscircus.com and tell me what kind of a knucklehead I am. But tell you what, maybe you'll get a knuckle sandwich in return. All right, folks. Big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Our flag station over in Los Angeles, NBC News and CNBC Financial. Thanks for joining us on KCAA and everywhere else. The Mars Rover on TV. We're back here with Mike Jaminski, the Hall of Famer. And Mike, I have to say the discussion about the referees was really good insight. Really good insight. We don't really hear that from anybody. Just want to pick up and kind of put a bow on that one before we left off at the last segment.
Well, unfortunately, the last time we really heard about referees was the betting scandal with Tim Donegan,
I had Tim on the show.
Yeah, and how that play and it's like having a judge be on the take, in a certain case, and you have to
That happened.
Those guys can influence the outcome of a game, and it's a great way to, it's illegal and immoral. But that's what we're talking about, the impact that these guys can have on a game.
We never see that now, do we? Does that
not
happen?
Now. I mean, I think that really shined a bright light on the referees and look, I know in the ACC and I know a lot, just about everywhere else, they're graded on every game, and their performance is reviewed every single game. It's gone over start to finish. So I would think it'd be really difficult for something like that to occur, now, especially with all that stuff in the past.
Yeah. And, I want to believe the games are legit. I want to believe the games are as we want them. Think about when we're kids watching this on television or going to a game at a stadium or whatever. We want to see the best of the best out there, but we want to see everybody's best effort too. We don't want to see somebody being influenced by a dollar in any way. Now, do we?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, betting is here to stay. My home state, North Carolina, is going to be voting on online gambling this year. So gambling is here to stay. And the unfortunate part of that is there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of money in sports. And, to say that it's going to be 100% clean going forward as it explodes nationally, I can't say that.
Right. All right. Well, that said, let's do this. Let's talk about the rankings for a minute, because the rankings now, unfortunately, I mean, look, this is a merry-go-round. This keeps going back and forth and around. Everybody watching on Facebook right now, you can see the rankings right in front of you. And so Auburn still holds that top spot, Mike, at 22-1. These guys are pretty darn good in basketball, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Pearl really, they got the big kid inside, the transfer from North Carolina, and Jabari Smith. It's a very, very talented team. 22-1 right now, and they've held fast at that number one ranking. There was, because all those teams were playing in the top 5, top 10 in the non-conference schedule. They were all playing one another. Now you
Right.
got those teams locked into their conference schedule, so you don't see those head-to-head matchups through the top 20, except in conference.
Right. They did have a shaky game against Missouri, but boy, after that, they've been playing lights out.
Yeah, no, they're extremely talented, and it's probably good for the SEC because in basketball it's been Kentucky, for the right there consistently, and then Tennessee and Florida have had their moments, but
Right.
to have somebody else come in and kind of carry the weight is a good thing for the conference.
Yeah, War Eagle. All right, and by the way, we're on the air over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, home of the world champion Atlanta Braves. Nice round of applause for everybody listening in on WAUD. We can't forget them. And, of course, WDJY over in Atlanta, 99.1 FM. We'll get to the others as we go on. How about Gonzaga? Now, I recently had John Stockton was on the show yesterday. And John with the whole ongoing thing. And, look, I support John in his position. I support everybody who believes in whatever it is that they believe in, as long as you believe with conviction that this is it, whatever it is, right? And so we had to talk a little bit about the Zags. And you know what? We didn't really talk much about the direction of the basketball program. But, Mike, I don't think we need to. These guys are just there every year. And, boy, they've got some big bodies, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Chet Holmgren is legit. He's frail, looks frail, but he's very skilled, a three-point shooter. And, for that squad, and I think, they've risen to the level that now I think anything short of a national championship is the last thing that program doesn't have. And I think, they're in the finals last year, and, that's going to be there, I think, until they win the whole thing. And that's just the way and that's what happens when you become as good as they are. That's where the expectations go.
Yeah. How about talking about bigs? How about those Boilermakers from Purdue? Yes. And of course I have to say that because yes, I'm also a Boilermaker, but how about that? How about Zach Edey? And then you've got Travion, and then you've got Ivy, but you've got a really strong inside-out game. They've got really three major pieces of a championship puzzle. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I think as far as balance is concerned, and you alluded to it, that they may be the most balanced team of all of them out there. And, for me, I love the fact that there is size in college basketball now. It seems like it's coming around, and there are a lot more and really good big players, across the landscape. But, Matt Painter has done a fabulous job there. And, for Purdue, like I said, a great perimeter game, great inside game. Although it's funny, Sal, and, when that balance happens, coaches will allow interior players to score, and they'll cover the 3-point line. When you're in a position to have to make a choice, you're going to play 2-point basketball instead of 3-point basketball.
Yeah. And, we're seeing a lot of that with those guys right now. I've watched almost every Purdue game, and, they show flashes of greatness, but then sometimes they fall asleep at the wheel. And why do teams do that? Is it that they know that they can almost score whenever they want to? They just kind of go on cruise control. Is that what we're seeing, or just mental preparedness?
Well, it's a combination. I mean, I see it in Paolo Banchero at Duke, a freshman who, he has a big game against North Carolina, and he disappeared last night in the second half, didn't score against Virginia. And that's your main guy. And they're talking about him as an All-American. That can't happen. But that's the price of paying at a place like Duke, like Carolina, where you become everybody's best game, and you get everybody's best shot. And, for a lot of those guys, it's overwhelming. And if they think that this is overwhelming, wait till they get up to the next level when you're playing 82 games and you're playing 5 games in 9 days against men.
Right. Where you're not just the best guy, but now you're the worst guy. Because you're a superstar in college, but now you're just an average at best guy. And now you're facing guys that are way better than you.
Well, and also way more physical. And, the way the game is officiated, Although, I've seen slippage in the defense in the NBA level. It's become more perimeter oriented. However, the guys you have to defend are a lot faster, a lot stronger, a lot quicker than anybody you saw in college.
Yeah, and the NBA is it's a funny league, because sometimes you'll see maybe a season or two of tremendous, real in your face 1980s defense kind of, and then you'll see the defense completely disappear in the league for 3-5 years. I don't even know how that happens.
Well, the thing is, Sal, too, that there is a pretty dramatic difference between the regular season and the playoffs. The reason being is because when you get locked into a 7-game series, both teams really know each other. It's easier to defend. It's all about matchups and execution in that position. In college, you're really only you're playing one game at a time, and and one opponent at a time. So the playoff series is a different animal defensively.
I got you. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk a little NBA. I mean, look, the rankings in the college basketball, it just keeps going up, down, up. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? Wait for the tournament. That's how we know what's going to happen. In the meantime, we'll talk about the state of the NBA when we come back here in just a few minutes on the Circus with the Hall of Famer Mike Tominski. Don't go anywhere. I'll stay back.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow AAMP.TV when you go there. And that stands for All Ages Media Programming. That's AMP TV. Also, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, and all of our recorded shows. There's a lot of them. 1,300. Hell, I don't even know. Some huge number. Anyway, make sure you either click on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the logos for CBS or NBC or CNBC, whatever the hell. Just click on those. It'll bring you right to a recorded shows page. And there's thousands and thousands of hours of entertainment for you. Get a gigantic bucket of popcorn and maybe a super tanker of your favorite beverage and listen to, I don't know, about 1,300 episodes or so. Also, one of our partners is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, CSNCoyotes.com for upcoming events and games. That's CSNCoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada. Also, I want a little word here about an organization called Rebound from our esteemed co-host. That would be Mike Jaminski. Mike, tell us all about Rebound.
Well, and my affiliation started as a patient there, and I had issues with alcohol for a long time, and went into treatment there July 14th of 2020. It's run by Jason Williams, former player in the NBA, and now a guy who's been sober for 8 years, and he decided to give back and help other people. I went down there for 60 days, did some outpatient work back in Charlotte, and I'm coming up on 18 and a half months sober. And it changed my life. It really has, Sal. And it's down in Lake Worth, Florida. You can go to Rebound for Life on the number 4 on Instagram, or their number 877-2-REBOUND. If you need help, if you think you need help, then you need help. And please give them a call.
That's 877-2-REBOUND. 877-2-REBOUND.
Yep.
All right. An astounding round of applause for Rebound and for the Hall of Famer Mike Jaminski. Mike, yeah, let's talk about the state of the NBA. We got some goofy trades, and everybody here watching on Facebook can see this. And this is one of the real head scratchers out there. We're talking about these trade deadlines. How about the Kings trading Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, for Pacer star Sabonis? What in the world are they thinking about with this? Are you kidding me?
I don't know. I love Sabonis. I haven't seen the Kings play that much. I mean, they're just not on. It doesn't. There are a lot of teams that won't trade in their division and won't even trade in their conference. So this is clearly not one of those deals. But and I love Sabonis, and I loved him in college, and I think he's a good pro.
How do you get rid of two of your best shooters? What direction are you going into here?
Well, you may already be there. I mean, they're 20 and 35 right now. They're second from the bottom. I mean, it's OKC and Houston again. Houston has just been a train wreck, but maybe they're dumping salaries, dumping positions, and maybe just dumping the rest of the season to try to get the best pick that they can. But they've been in that position, Sal, for years. I mean, it's been since Chris Webber and Vlade Divac were there that they've been a factor out west.
I like Vlade. Got to get Vlade on the show somehow. He's one of those guys. I remember his commercials, the shaving commercial. Today was my shaving day, right? So I remember his commercials. I'm no longer irritating, if you know what I mean, because he's have no skin rash. But look, Vlade was one of those guys that was a really good character for the game. He just had that about him. He just seemed like, I don't know. I mean, you played with him, against him. I mean, you would know, but it seemed like the league generally liked him.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was a very likable person. Had a perfect European international game. Very skilled guy, good passer. All the things that shoot the ball, shoot with range. The thing he probably will be most remembered for is being traded for Kobe Bryant on draft day. And, it was a situation where the Hornets, Jerry West had worked out a deal with the Hornets to swap picks. We needed a center, and, Kobe was 18 and we were kind of rebuilding. So we didn't know how that was going to work out. and they made that deal, and we know what happens.
Yeah. It's kind of like picking Sam Bowie ahead of Michael Jordan. But anyway, as we go on, hey, let's talk about the idea of what's going on with Zion. What in the world's going on there? Because we're seeing a lot of movement here. I mean, first of all, we got to ask, is this guy coming back? Number two, is he going to re-sign? And there's a lot of stuff going on here. What is the state of that club?
Well, here's the thing with me. I don't know if this is going to be a foot injuries are really bad, especially if you've got them when you're 19 and 20 years old. I mean, that's not a good sign. And to me, it's a sign of him carrying too much weight. And I think that's something that has to be addressed along with the issue. I think a lot of the foot issues go away. In my opinion, I'm not the medical staff down there, but I think just him losing weight would be a good idea to begin with. And frankly, he's young enough that he may get through this contract, and there's going to be somebody else out there that's going to be willing to take a chance on him. I just, the fact that Ja Morant, who was the 7th pick in that draft, is having the impact that he has had on the league and in Memphis. I just hope that Zion, that these things, they take care of themselves. He gets past them and has the career that everybody thinks he can.
I think back to that injury at Cameron Indoor when he was playing. Remember the shoe, the malfunction, whatever. To me, that was kind of the beginning of this whole thing with Zion. Zion was one of those, he had the potential to be one of those generational players, but we saw a similar thing with Derrick Rose. Now, Derrick Rose was a phenomenal talent, and then he had this injury period, but now Derrick Rose is almost where he would have been in his career as it progressed as an NBA player without the injuries. And Derrick's a phenomenal player. So he's doing kind of what people expected him to do, but he had all those down years from the injuries. Yeah. Maybe we'll see the same thing with Zion.
Well, if you go back, Grant Hill's career was really turned sideways and they were foot injuries that he could have his career, and he's still a Hall of Famer, but imagine what his career if he was healthy all the way through. And then going back even further, Bill Walton was foot injuries and he's a Hall of Famer, but he might have been the best center in the game if he was healthy, for his whole career. But foot injuries are really tough, Sal. I hope for the best with him, and I hope he gets right physically and then mentally and then on the court.
I guess the bigger question is, do they sit him? Do the Pelicans sit him and let him just sit out and fully recover, or at least make best efforts to fully recover? Look, if you invest so much time and financial commitment to this, one would imagine that you're going to do the right thing for the long run, maybe suffer a little bit in the short run.
Yeah, and I think, though, that the primary thing is this decision has to be made in concert with the doctors. And Zion, frankly, has to buy into what the doctors and what everybody's saying as well. These guys, and I'm not saying him specifically, but this generation of players has a lot of people chirping in their ear about what they should do. And, this is a case where you should listen and trust in your medical staff, and then have everybody get on the same page about how you go forward from this point.
Right. And my concern is that Zion's going to feel the pressure of having to play, because he's going to hear it from everybody. He's been hearing it. Play, get out there. Yeah, you're a star. You can handle this, whatever, you're a tough guy, whatever. Yes, he's carrying a lot more weight than he was when he came into the league. But at the same time, I think you're onto something with that weight situation, and maybe there might be some relief with the foot injury if he did cut a little bit of weight.
It's funny. You alluded to, and talking about pressure, you talked about the Sam Bowie pick, and there's a guy, Portland has Clyde Drexler. Do they pick Jordan and double up at that position, or do they pick a need? And they wound up picking a need. And I think Sam felt an incredible pressure to live up to that, and how do you live up to that? And he had an injury-plagued career, himself. So drafting is an art. Drafting is an art, Sal. It's not a science.
The Blazers had a similar guy like that a handful of years ago. That was Greg Oden, that big beast out of Ohio State. That guy was a man amongst boys. He just couldn't stay healthy.
No, and that's, Was he the lock pick at the time? I think I don't know that at the time anybody could have argued otherwise.
Right.
And that's, the physical aspect. And that's where you really have to take a look and how are they doing in college? Because if they're breaking down in college, then chances are they're really going to break down on the next level.
So maybe this goes back to that one and done idea. How about let's see a little track record for what these guys can do over entire seasons, not just one, maybe over a couple of seasons, maybe get these kids to play a couple of years. I don't know. I have a very different opinion than a lot of people. I want to see these kids stay in for at least 2 years. Look, you're going to the next level. There are bigger bodies. There are more developed bodies. And let's face it, your basketball IQ can only do what? Get sharper with a little bit more playing time, right or wrong?
Yeah, no question about it. And I think in the next collective bargaining, it will get to 2 years. I don't think it'll get to 3 like college baseball is, but that's a fair assessment.
All right, folks, we're back here with the great Mike Cheminsky, the Hall of Famer, in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. That's 800-989-1694.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. 800-361-3491. Again, that's 800-361-3491.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pouty Arco Super Tea helps build red corpuscles in the blood which carry oxygen to our organs and cells. Our organs and cells need oxygen to regenerate themselves. The immune system needs oxygen to develop, and cancer dies in oxygen. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system. And it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit bestsupertea.com. The first word is best, spelled B-E-S-T, then the word super, then the word tea. The complete website is bestsupertea.com, or call us at 818-274-8270, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-274-8270, bestsupertea.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from the AMP TV studio, AAMP TV. This segment brought to you in part by Kelly Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Kelly Vegas can help with everything they need to get out of sitting and hours of traffic, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job, and host their very own talk show in their very own home studio. That goes for everybody watching on Facebook right now. There's a whole slew of people there, as well as everybody else listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates. Nonetheless, if you're interested, find out more information about having your own talk show in your very own home studio. It takes very little equipment. 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119. Or visit online for more information at www.kellyvegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com. All right, welcome back to everybody. Back here with the Hall of Famer, Mike Jerminski. Mike, you couldn't fit in the AMP TV mobile studio because it's just kind of like a big plexiglass bubble, and I don't think it's built for a guy of your size. I mean, you're still, what, 9'12"? I mean, something big.
Well, here's the thing. So, I mean, different, it's been fun this year, at least with broadcasting, that we can go to shoot-arounds and we can go to practice now. And there's some interaction with the coaches where it was just Zoom meetings last year. But like up in Syracuse, you're in a dome. This place is ginormous. Yet we're sitting courtside and we have to have a little plexiglass enclosure to do the game. Like, I'm fully vaccinated. I've tested positive. I've got antibodies, and yet in this huge dome, I've got to sit in plexiglass so I don't infect anybody.
Well, let me ask you this. All right, so here you took all the shots, and let's say you walk into the grocery store, and they have the checkout counter. They have that big plexiglass in front of them, or even if you're at the bank, right? Now you've taken the shots. They've taken the shots. It begs the question, Mike, why is there a plexiglass layer in between you? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there, and some of this stuff I think will be revisited as time goes on. And, nobody knows where COVID is going to be next year. Is it always going to be there? We're going to have to always get shots. Is it going to be like the regular flu? I just think
I thought it was the regular flu.
Yeah, well, it's going to be there's going to be an initial overreaction to, just because of how bad the first go around was. But I think as people build up immunity and, strains get a little weaker, that, we'll be more tolerant of it.
Yeah, but then there will be the SARS-CoV-3, right? I mean, it's never ending. Mike, whatever happened to natural immunity? Our bodies are kind of built that way, right? I mean, that's how my understanding, that's the design that God sent the blueprint down for. I don't know. How does this work? I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV.
Yeah, and I think as more, as these vaccines are out in the public and are being used, and the efficacy is being found out and discovered along the way, and they'll get better stuff as it goes along, that things will return to some sort of, think about, with my son Noah, when he was young, how many vaccinations that he had to get before he could go to school. And that was, there was no, we're not getting those vaccines, that, you just go out and get them and get your kid in school. So I hope it progresses to that point.
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, I don't know. It was like one of the worst days of my life. I probably got about 15 shots and I hated it. Yeah. And it was truly the worst day I think I ever had as a little kid. How about you?
Hey, look, I had allergies growing up, so I got shots, every week. And look, I believe in everybody. I don't believe in mandates, and I believe in everybody's right to choose. And for me, it was a no-brainer that this is going to help me. And I actually got vaccinated before I got COVID, and I think it mitigated my symptoms greatly. But that's just my thinking, and I'm not going to make other people think the same way.
Right. And I mean, look, I'm the same guy. I'm like, look, if you're for it, you're for it. If you're not, you're not. It's no big deal. I mean, I'm not an anti-vax guy. I am an anti-experimental drug guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only position I have. I mean, look, I have a bunch of vaccinations as a kid, whatever. Just, make it right. And even my friends that are the doctors, the finest doctors in America, they have the same position. Let's get this thing fully approved, and then we'll go ahead and start taking shots. In fact, I'm following the lead of one of our real close friends of the Sports Circus. That's Dr. Kristen Willemeyer, one of the top neuroscientists in the country. And she even said on this program, she said, look, when it becomes fully approved, after all the trials are done, et cetera, she goes, then I'll take it. I say, Kristen, I'm going to do it right after you. Because she's the pro. I'm not the pro. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about that other than what I read. And I've been in very close contact, and friends of the show are guys like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He was on the show talking about that and the experimentation. And even John Stockton was on recently talking about much the same thing. And, the one thing that bothers me, Mike, is that they say that there are exemptions that live out there, right? For those people that either have this legitimate exemption, whatever, but then you've got bureaucrats running into the space. For example, I talked to John about this. I said, John, Gonzaga, where you went to school and you're a season ticket holder, et cetera, said, what about the idea of the religious exemption? And the religious exemption, we saw this in the NBA, Mike. We saw this from the Golden State Warriors. And one of their players had said, I don't want to do this because it's against my religion. But then you had somebody that was a bureaucrat that was questioning the sincerity of his religion, which I found fundamentally wrong. It just doesn't seem to make sense. If you take it, you take it. You don't. But how does somebody step in and say, well, it's against my religion, but guess what? You're not serious enough about your religion. How does that work?
It doesn't. And just, again, there were going to be, the unintended consequences and things that happen in every walk of life, in everything that you come across. You can't predict and say, all right, this is going to go according to how we think it's going to go. And then there are always situations like that. But let me cue you up, Sal. If you're planning to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium, where I was last night, to get in, you have to have proof of vaccination. You have to present it, and you have to show your ID to match up with your card. Then you get a bracelet. And if you don't have proof of vaccination, you have to test or show a negative test within the prior 72 hours.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, the universities have really, really clamped down on those restrictions, and that's their right, I suppose. I mean, who am I to say otherwise? All I know is if I hear something or if I see something, I say something. If I hear something that's relevant, I'll also say something. But I tell people, look, if you want to go do what you do, I don't really care. Just as long as you're safe, healthy, and happy. That's all that really matters.
I agree. And, I like to think, too, that, it really benefited me to have to test positive, to build up the antibodies in my system. I think, that herd mentality or that herd phenomenon is very real. And you can go back in history and look at the plague in Europe. Subsequent versions of that were less virulent, and people had ability to stand up to it, as opposed to the initial wave through, which devastated a quarter of the population of Europe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's examples in history, but then there's also questions about certain things. But at the end of the day, Mike, the only thing that matters is, you know what? I woke up today. Everything else is a bonus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every day. And that's, Sal, that's the basis of my recovery. And that's why I am where I am. And being a recovering alcoholic is paring it down to 24 hours. I'm going to make a decision not to drink today. Yeah. And this is stay in the moment, stay where your feet are. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. This 24 hours is a gift.
Yeah, it really is. And every time I wake up and that's it, I just say, all right, my eyes are open. I'm here to kick the world's ass again today. So let's go ahead and do that. And really, I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. You know what I'm saying? Just give it a couple of punches here or there. And then before you know it, start blowing things up.
Well, yeah, and the world is taking a standing 8 count because Sal woke up today and he's raring to go.
Hey, man, I call it like I see it. One of these days I'll be on the sidelines calling a game with you. I think I could do play-by-play. I've done play-by-play for baseball, for college baseball anyway. I've done play-by-play for baseball, and I have done it for hockey once in a Pee-wee hockey game. Yes.
Now, I think the baseball is it's a much more conversational call than basketball or hockey. I actually think the Pee-wee hockey is going to serve you better moving to basketball than the baseball will.
Well, no, I mean, I could literally watch a hockey game or a basketball game. And the best for basketball for me, it was Chick Hearn. Chick Hearn called a game like nobody I've ever heard, right? For the Lakers, rest his soul.
Let me tell you something about Chick Hearn. Till the day he retired, he would get to the Forum at 2:00 in the afternoon for a 7:30 game. And he would do a practice quarter with his sheets in front of him to get warmed up for the game. That's how he felt about how strongly he felt about his craft, because he was sitting away from the floor and, monitors and all that stuff, but he wanted to get everybody's name down pat. And
Chick was the best of the best.
Yeah, and for hockey, Mike Emmerich for me was the best that there's ever been.
Doc calls a game incredibly. In fact, Doc's sidekick for a bunch of years, another friend of the Sports Circus, a guy from Philadelphia was a champion, and that was Bill Clement. Now, Bill Clement has guest hosted here on the Sports Circus as well. I love Bill. Boy, this guy got great stories, but Doc and Bill called a phenomenal game. And for how many years they called the finals? I don't know, 19 years or something like that.
Yeah, and with all the things, the shift changes on the fly. It's not like there's a timeout or there's a stop in the action where you can get. And he never missed a beat, and and he had a great feeling for the dramatic moment. He had a great feel with goals. His whole call was above anybody else.
He is so smooth. Yep. And listening to him, then listening to finals. Look, I mean, we have Kenny Albert that does the hockey games right now. Kenny does a great job, phenomenal job calling the games.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole family is, Marv and Steve Albert, who was with the Nets when I was first breaking into the leagues. And now the son is, it just certainly has the passion for the call and for the sport has certainly been passed on.
Right. Even at the beginning of the show, it's marvelous. With his spectacular move by Michael Jordan. I know, it's just incredible. All right,
Michael Jordan was born to have Marv Albert say his name.
I think you're right. All right, for the Hall of Famer Mike Javinsky, I'm your Remaster Sal. We'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you start up with capital, business strategy, sales, and marketing, and establish your company with a physical location or an online presence on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. Then American Business Trust can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. Or call them at 657-600-1876. That's American Business Trust Company. 657-600-1876. Call them today. They'll help your business right away. That's American Business Trust Company. Online at abtrustco.com. American Business Trust Company.